Hey everybody, welcome back to Yes Have Some. Craig here. You guys told me that you wanted to see a full toy room tour, so that's what we're doing today. I'm super excited that you guys are enjoying the toy hunting videos. You guys said you wanted it, that's what you're gonna get. I do hope that you have subscribed to the channel. That being said, we have a lot of toys to go over and I'm excited. Let's get to the tour right now. Our first DTOF at the top, we've got our 1989 Batman Toy Biz toys. We've got the Batcave here. We've got the Batmobile, Robin, Bob the Goon, Batman, Joker, Mr. Freeze, and others. Now, you got to remember, Kenner did get this line eventually, but the 89 Batman line started with Toy Biz, eventually moving to Kenner with the Dark Knight collection. But for my money, this Batcave is as iconic and nostalgic as it gets. So super grateful to have that in my collection. Below that, we've got our Terminator 2 collection, Bioflesh Regenerator playset. Did not have this as a kid, wanted it desperately. I would stare at that Kenner catalog, dreaming about the Bioflesh Regenerator playset. Now, this is a really cool thing here because R-rated movies don't get toy lines anymore. So I love these. I don't have the full collection by any means, but I do have this sealed can of Bioflesh Regeneration refill, powder, whatever it is. And below that, we've got our 12-inch talking Arnold Schwarzenegger figure and then various other pieces of the Kenner collection. Love that Arnold right there in the yellow tank top. Got a T-1000, exploding T-1000 next to him. And of course, we've got John Connor on his dirt bike as well. Gonna plan on adding more of these figures as I go, but not number one priority right now. Below that, we've got some more early 90s amazing figures. We've got the Beetlejuice figures in the Vanishing Vault there. But of course, mainly what this DTOF square is dedicated to is The Mask. Jim Carrey, 1994, greatest year in comedy of all time. These Mask figures from Kenner are super fun, super colorful, super toyetic, so of course I'm going to have them in my collection. Below that, this is one of those weird DTOF squares where it's just a mishmash of different stuff that doesn't have a proper home. So we've got Independence Day, we've got Seinfeld vinyl idols from Funko, we've got Armageddon figures. That's right, Harry, Stamper, and AJ made it to the DTOF. Now, next to that, we have our Power Dome playset from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Bandai 93 Power Rangers was like taking over the world. This is a really cool playset, and I've got these vintage flip head figures as well. And this Alpha 5 is really cool. It's got a nice shiny gold dome, and also the only way you could get that Alpha 5 was with this playset. So I love playsets. You guys know that. Below that, we've got our NECA Friday the 13th collection. I am trying to get all of the Jasons. Jason to me is the top-notch #1 horror icon of all time. So I had to collect all these Ultimates. Love the detail, love what NECA does. Obviously, they are passionate about making incredible figures, and I will keep adding Jasons as they are released. Now below that, we've got a Back to the Future shelf. Back to the Future and the trilogy are some of my all-time favorite movies, so to have action figures, finally proper figures from NECA in 2020, that was incredible. So we've got our Toonie Classics there, and of course our NECA Ultimates. We've got Biff, 3 different versions of Marty, and of course we got the 2015 Pepsi Perfect Back to the Future Day limited release, and various other Back to the Future items. So I will keep growing the Back to the Future collection. I will buy it all. Next, we've got James Bond Jr., really cool cartoon from the early 90s, part of my childhood. I've been able to go back, get some of these figures. They're not that expensive. I love that Q figure. These are fun, and like I said earlier, they're just colorful, and they take you back to that time of like bright colors, bright pinks and purples and oranges, and look at that. I mean, this is just the most fun you could have in your life. So got the Scum Shark there, and really cool stuff. Happy to have those. And then again, another random shelf, some vintage Power Rangers, a couple Jurassic Park figures, things that don't have a total proper home yet, but collections that could be expanded on in the future, and stuff I still want to have on display. Now, we've got our NECA Hateful Eight retro style clothed figures. Hateful Eight is one of my favorite movies. Quentin Tarantino just kind of kicks ass and he rules. And I never got the Django figures. Those are very expensive and pretty controversial, but I do have the NECA Hateful Eight figures, and I really love these. I mean, look, you even got a Quentin Tarantino figure there, and then Kurt Russell. Beautiful. Welcome addition to my shelf. That's what I'll say. Below that, another random assortment of NECA figures. We've got some of the Karate Kid stuff. We've got Mr. T. Clubber Lang from Rocky there, Kevin McAllister, Mr. Miyagi, and then we've got Kreese and Johnny Lawrence and Bill and Ted. And these are cool. I love NECA, one of my favorite toy companies. And continuing with NECA below that, we've got a random assortment of horror icons. Freddy, Pennywise, Michael Myers. We've got, even in the back, a signed Soup Nazi from Funko, and then a Zach Galligan signed Gremlins Ultimate Gizmo. You know I like my autographs, so had to have those there. And then again, these bottom shelves tend to be just kind of a weird combination of stuff. We got some Marvel Legends. We've got a box of Little Shop of Horrors trading cards. We've got Chicago Bulls Bendums and the Jaws soundtrack. We've got the Jax Rocky figures, one of the coolest, weirdest, most extensive toy lines of all time. Jax Pacific made an entire line, covered the first 6 Rocky movies, and I love these. These are so cool. They're detailed. They're fun. There's a ton of Rockies. We got Mickey here. We've got Rocky Training. We've got the 1 out of 1,800 Ringside Collectibles limited edition figures, including Rocky in his wheelchair from Rocky 2. I just love Rocky. It's one of my favorite all-time movie series, so to have so many figures is just cool. And then the Rocky line continues below. I mean, you've got Paulie, you've got Apollo Creed in his training gear. Oh man, I get excited. And I don't have this entire line. There's like 20 figures I still need. But really, really cool stuff. And they really made everybody. I mean, they made Tommy Gunn. We've got Ivan Drago there. We've got Thunderlips, Hulk Hogan. I mean, you guys can hear how excited I get. Like, these are great. Even Michael Buffer got a figure. Let's get ready to rumble. That's what I'm talking about. I get so psyched about toys. Below that, we got a straggler from Rocky who couldn't fit on the other shelf. I've got a knockoff Hulk Hogan here, a weird Dennis Rodman figure, then a couple LJN vintage WWF figures. I am going to expand the WWF collection at some point, but for now they will hang out in this Hasbro retro ring. And below that, Evolution. Was it a Ghostbusters sequel? Kind of. Ivan Reitman directed Evolution in, I think, 1999. It got a full toy line, I think, from Bandai. Fun, colorful, makes no sense to even own these. It doesn't even make sense that they exist, but I got the fire truck too. It's not a fire truck, whatever that was. That's a weird movie, but had to collect it. Now, let's move on to Ninja Turtles. Starting off, we've got the vintage Troll Turtles. I mean, it doesn't get more 90s than that kind of mashup. We've got the Sewer Layer playset there on top of the Detolf with a couple of the vintage figures. Toka Razar. We've got Rat King and Slash, and I love the Sewer playset. I mean, one of the great playsets of all time. So I'm off and on with collecting vintage Ninja Turtles. Right now, I'm taking a little bit of a breather so I can focus on some other things. But I mean, when you've got the Technodrome playset, you're basically set up because that's one of the great vehicle playsets of all time. And of course, we've got the Party Wagon there as well. Now, let's continue with vintage TMNT. We've got all of Series 1 here. You got your 4 guys, Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Mondo Gecko's in there, Shredder, April, Genghis Frog, and I mean, listen, Ninja Turtles is a big part of my life, so I'm gonna have all these figures. Leatherhead, Splinter, Casey Jones, Trag, Bebop, Rocksteady, and of course the Foot Soldier, which is still one of the most iconic figures of all time. Below that, we've got the Toon Turtles, as well as these guys. Now, listen, I don't think they'd be making these figures in 2020, but we do have some interesting, I'll say, releases there, and then we'll move on. Then we've got our Toon Turtles. We've got Vern, and we've got the Neutrinos, and these wacky action turtles that are kind of designed to look more like the animated series, and a cool Shredder repaint. These are not cheap. These have really gone up in value. Below that, we've got our Ninja Turtles 3 figures, a couple in-package figures. As you guys see, I'm not a big in-package guy, but I do have a couple stragglers, and then a nice little collection of TMNT 3. Listen, I've got a soft spot for TMNT 3. I mean, come on. It's just good fun. And then under there, we've got our Star Trek Turtles there. We've got Wit and his catapult from TMNT 3. And then, of course, we've got Chrome Dome and another look at these Star Trek Turtles because Playmates had the Star Trek line. So, of course, we got Star Trek Ninja Turtles. Taking a look now at modern Ninja Turtles collecting, let's start off with our Neca animated figures. Neca has been absolutely killing it for the past 2 years with these lines. We've got all of these incredible characters. We've got the movie Turtles there. We've got foot soldiers from the movie. We got foot soldiers from the animated series. We've got Metalhead and Slash and Bebop and Rocksteady and Trag and Granitor. And listen, it just keeps going and going. Of course, we've got the Coming Out of Their Shells tour, or the musical Mutagen tour Turtles here, which was the San Diego Comic-Con type release this year. Tons of fun hunting those down, but man, I could not believe it when I got my hands on them. Coming down here, we do have some of the Super 7 Wave 1 Turtles. Those will kind of have a different home at some point separate from the NECA shelf here, but for now, the NECA Turtle shelf is kind of in a little bit of a state of flux, but more examples: Animated, Shredder, and April there. We've got the Super Shredder and Krang's android bodies back there. That one just came out. NECA Modern Turtle collecting is where it's at. If you could collect one line, I mean, look at this Splinter. This just came out. The Splinter and the Baxter Stockman. These are incredibly detailed. They're super fun. You guys know I like bright and colorful. Up here, we've got our video game characters, our Turtles in Time characters. This is the very top of this shelf, actually. We've got our TCRI mutagen container from NECA. We've got our Casey Jones mask, a custom TGRI Secret of the Ooze container there from our friends at Rust City Studios. We got our baby Turtles, and I love Ninja Turtles. I'm going to buy every Ninja Turtles thing that ever comes out, and that's just the way it is. Below that, we've got another random assortment of Batman figures, including the Mattel classic Batman 66 line. Look, some people like this line, some people didn't. I have such a nostalgic piece of my heart dedicated to Batman 66 and just Batman in general. So I do have a good assortment of those figures and the Batmobile. I've got Catwoman there. And then from there, just random Batman figures that I've picked up over time, and a nice little collection as well of Batman Forever figures. Again, Jim Carrey, mid-90s. His portrayal of the Riddler is just incredible. And also the Batman Forever Batmobile is severely underrated. All right, let's take a look at the real Ghostbusters case, the real Ghostbusters shelf, starting off with our finger pop fiends and our sealed ectoplasm, some of the most iconic, colorful, beautiful, wonderful toys of all time. And I do have the complete collection. So taking a look at all of these figures, we've got our Super Fright Features figures down here in the front, including the Winston with the green spacesuit, one of my all-time favorite figures. We've got Bad to the Bone Ghost, the first real Ghostbusters villain I ever got. We've got the Haunted Humans, the Universal Monsters, and then we've got Screaming Heroes, and down in the front are Slimed Heroes with the alternative variant, red and blue masks and ghosts for Ray. I own them both. Now, moving down, we got a little bit of what we call around here an Ecto-Flex, because these are the Ecto Glow Heroes figures. These are the most rare and sought-after Ghostbusters figures in the entire line. They were at the tail end of the line. Nobody bought them. They were clearanced out, hard to find, and now they've really, really skyrocketed. So we even got the custom Janine there from our friends at Toysaurus Games, because there was no Ecto Glow Janine, but we've got one. Then we've got the Spangler's Neutrino Wand from Hasbro Plasma Series. That came out this year. And then to the left of that, a couple of those Ectoplasm Ghosts, and of course the real Ghostbusters Kenner Firehouse, in my opinion, for what it's worth, the greatest playset of all time. Now, up here, more real Ghostbusters. H2O Ghost, Highway Haunter. We've got just really, to me, when I think about my childhood, this is what I'm thinking about. More than Turtles, more than anything, it's real Ghostbusters. We got the Ecto 500 with Egon there, Slimer and Stay Puft in the back, the Ecto 1A modeled after Ghostbusters 2, and then we've got a custom BAM Toy Company Boogeyman figure. That was also out this year. I'm not always into customs, but when they're that good, you got to take advantage. So, moving down here, another custom from BAM Toy Company, the legendary Egons Lab playset, never released, only in prototype form. And then some of the modern Hasbro re-releases, and then of course that green ghost with the red and blue backpack from the Series 2 wave of Real Ghostbusters. Below that, we do have a Kenner Proton pack with box. I think every kid born after 1983 had a Kenner Proton pack. And then we've got our Diamond Select Real Ghostbusters figures here. Another set that kind of has gone way up in value. I don't know what's going on with the Ghostbusters 2 diorama there. And yeah, I mean, what more can I say other than I have a deep affinity for Ghostbusters, and we've got our Kenner Ghost Trap there as well. To me, just as iconic as that Proton pack. If you got the Proton pack, you got to have the trap. It's just the way it works. Then we do have a couple of these Madi Collector Ghostbusters prototypes. We are going to look at the Madi Collector line here in a few minutes, but these prototypes, they're kind of one of a kinds, and if you could pick them up at a decent price, they're just fun and funky looking. And then here we have a overall look at the Real Ghostbusters case. A lot of time, effort, patience, and money went into curating this display and this collection, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy to share it with everybody here on the Yes Have Some channel. Another look at the turtles there. On top of that case, we do have more Real Ghostbusters. We've got our Ecto Popper there, a couple empty boxes from the Real Ghostbusters line with that incredible artwork. We've got our Mattel retro throwback style Ghostbusters here, and then this is actually an Ecto-Glow Janine sticker that was included with that figure we looked at earlier, the custom Ecto-Glow Janine. But yeah, just listen, I love Ghostbusters. What can I say? We've got some more 2XL customs. I said I don't like customs. I've got all these custom figures, double XL ghosts. All right, now we've got our Extreme Ghostbusters, 1997 Trendmasters, the revitalized version of Ghostbusters with Egon and Kylie and Roland. And there is no Garrett figure, but there is an Eduardo back there too. Various ghosts. These are fun, colorful, maybe not quite as iconic as the Real Ghostbusters, but that Sam Hain figure is awesome. And the Ecto one they put out is kind of an incredible little vehicle. Love that. Below that, we've got some of the Filmation Ghostbusters. Now, Filmation had the original rights to the name Ghostbusters. It was a show in the 1960s. They put out their own animated series in the 80s. That's why we got the Filmation Ghostbusters and the Real Ghostbusters kind of working on this line. It's in progress. It's expensive and a pain in the ass to collect, but I'm enjoying it. Below that, an assortment of Ghostbusters stuff. We've got the McFarlane Stranger Things Ghostbusters. We've got the Playmobil Stay Puft there. And then some of the old McDonald's Real Ghostbusters, Happy Meal toys, and Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack, some party bags, a can of Ecto Cooler, some Domo Funkos. Moving on, we've got the Hasbro Plasma Series. Now, these just came out over the last year. This is kind of the Hasbro Black Series style Ghostbusters figures. We've got the complete set here in package as well as loose. We got Peter, Winston, Ray, Egon, Lewis, and others. Below that, more Ghostbusters. We've got a signed Ghostbusters 1 and 2 DVD from Dan Aykroyd, some knockoff Ghostbusters Legos from our friend AJ Quick at gbfans.com. Now we're moving into more of the 2016 Answer the Call Ghostbusters line. We've got some of the minifigures here and the Mattel Ecto 1 that they put out, and of course the Mattel Proton pack, which surprisingly enough has also gone up in value. They were pretty available at the time. Below that, we've got the Funko Vinyl Idol Ghostbusters, random minifigures from different companies, including Diamond Select and others. And really, these bottom shelves, as you can tell, it just kind of becomes an assortment of random stuff. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at the Madi Collector Ghostbusters from Mattel. This line started in about 2008, ran till about 2014, off and on. These are representative of a time when I was first getting back into collecting toys and really hardcore back into Ghostbusters. And this was also the first time we ever got movie-style figures, so I really do have a soft spot in my heart for the Mattel line. Better or worse, it had its ups and downs, but I really think these figures are cool. And then mixed in 1. We've got some of the Answer the Call figures with Rowan. We've got our Ghostbusters 2 and our charcoal gray suits. We've got Vigo. We've got Ray Stantz wearing a little Santa hat. And of course, Slime Blower Ray and Slime Blower Winston were two of the coolest figures. I had to make customs for Slime Blower and Egon and Slime Blower Peter. Not that Bill Murray would ever wear a slime blower, but in my world and in my toy room, he can. Below that, we've got a vintage assortment of real Ghostbusters, Universal Studios Ghostbusters. We got a PKE meter in there. We got a Stay Puft watch, Happy Meals, all sorts of stuff. If I see a Ghostbusters logo, I'm buying it. So we've got our Hardee's cup there. Remember, Hardee's was the official headquarters for Ghostbusters 2. A lot of people don't know that, but now you know. So, and then above here, we've got kind of a weird mashup, but I like them. The Ghostbusters WWE Elites with my custom Ghostbusters wrestling ring and the 24-inch Diamond Select Stay Puft Marshmallow Man bank, because let's face it, Stay Puft's a big guy, so make big Stay Puffs. That's what I always say. That's one of my favorite sayings. And then we got a cool custom Rust City GB Afterlife pin. That movie's coming this year. I cannot wait. Moving along to the other great love in my life, we've got vintage Star Wars, starting with Return of the Jedi. Jabba on his throne, Gamorrean Guard. We got Bosk there. We've got Bib Fortuna, Salacious Crumb, Dengar. And behind there with the Rancor Keeper, we've got Max Rebo's band. I am obsessed with those figures. Now below that, my opinion alone, and I think it matters, by the way, the Ewok Village. I think it's the greatest playset in Star Wars history, and I do have all 9 of the Ewok figures, including Ramba and Lumat and Warrock and Wicket and all of them. I mean, some of those were hard to find complete, and to put those together, I was really happy to finally have all 9 vintage Ewoks and the Ewok Village. I still need the glider, so if you've got an Ewok glider, hit me up, send me an email, let's make a deal. I love vintage Star Wars. It was not part of my childhood necessarily. I was born in 84. Like I always say, Star Wars was dead and gone by the time I came around, but I've gone back and I've collected the Kenner line. I've got that original set here with the first figures and the stand. You got Han and Luke and Chewie and Leia. We got Greedo there. And also, if you take a look here, we've got some of the retro releases that Hasbro's been doing. And I bought all of those too. I just can't get enough. I mean, I'm not going to not buy retro Star Wars figures. I mean, who do you think you're talking to here? Below that, some more vintage Star Wars. We've got the Emperor there, Boba Fett. We've got some play sets. We've got the Sandcrawler play set there. And we've got one of my favorites, that last 17 Anakin. I think that's a really cool figure, underrated somehow, but I'm still working on my vintage Star Wars line, so that'll continue. Below that, we've got vintage collection. We got the Slave one there. When it comes to vintage collection, I pick and I choose and I cherry pick. So these are just some of the ones I've picked up over the last little while. We've got Din Djarin with no mask and Grogu. That just came in the mail like yesterday. We've got Stormtroopers. We got Jabba's Palace. A little bit of everything there. I love my vintage collection figures. We got a TIE Fighter, AT-ST Walker. And like I said, I pick and choose what I want. And if it speaks to me, I pick it up. Now, this is another ball game up here because we've got Jabba's sail barge, the first HasLab, and we got a skiff there. I had to get Jabba's sail barge. To me, this was an unbelievable playset. We never thought we'd get anything like it. I couldn't pass it up. I had to support the HasLab, and I also have the Razor Crest coming. Just take a look at how big that thing is. I mean, it's almost 4 feet long, and Return of the Jedi is my absolute favorite Star Wars movie, so you knew I was going to get that. Taking a look there in the little throne room there, you got Jabba and Sisal. What is that, Slimer? What is he doing there? Unbelievable. You never know what's going to happen on the barge. Moving along, we've got the Black Series collection. Black Series is my bread and butter. I'm a 6-inch action figure aficionado and junkie. So when it comes to Star Wars, I want Black Series. And as you can see, I got a good amount of them. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look. You can see, like, it's not really in any kind of great order. I need to do a reorganization at some point, but these figures have gotten so good. You know, they were a little rough around the edges when they first came out in 2014, but now we've got that photorealistic scanning. Unbelievable. We've got all these figures. Now we've got prequel figures. We've got our Empire figures. We got Chewbacca there, Han. We've got that Bestman Escape Leia, Death Star escape Leia, I'm sorry. Somebody's escaping somewhere. We've got our Rebels figures here. Rebels is a really cool show. That Ahsoka figure is awesome. Moving below that, a various mixture of different figures. You got Jango Fett. We've got our Carbonite figures here. I said I wasn't going to buy them, and I bought all of them. I don't know why, but I got them. I don't know why, but I do like that Boba Fett. We got Din Djarin as the Mandalorian, and below that, our first 2 Black Series Ewok figures. How cool is that? And then, of course, Snoke. I still believe in Snoke. I think Snoke's going to come around. People are going to be talking about Snoke for years to come. Let's make it happen. But yeah, just take it all in. Like I said, it's not in any kind of great order. I do want to reorganize these by film at some point, but the problem is they put out so many Black Series figures that it's just hard to keep up. This is kind of the other side of the Black Series collection here. Some of the Force Awakens, Last Jedi figures up there at the top, maybe not as good as some of the others, not because of the movies, just because that was prior to the photoreal face scanning. By the way, that Hoth Trooper, both of those are some of my favorite figures of last year. We got Return of the Jedi Luke, Dark Rey, Darth Maul. I feel like Dark Rey and Darth Maul, they just go together. I mean, that just makes sense. We've got some of our newer Clone Wars figures, that other Ahsoka, and of course, the Holiday Troopers. They make no sense. They're so dumb. Had to get all of them. I'm not going to not buy Holiday Troopers. You guys know how I am. And so on and so on. So plenty of Black Series figures. Got that Jar Jar that just came out. Jabba the Hutt. I wish they would release Jabba again with a Salacious Crumb. I really need that. And then we've got the maskless Mandalorian there with little baby the child Grogu. He has a name now. I don't know if you knew that. And then over on the other side, the Black Series shelf has now made it to another shelf. I've got a ton of Stormtroopers. I said I wasn't ever going to be army building or putting together big assortments or garrisons of troopers, but I got a bunch of these remnant Stormtroopers from The Mandalorian. I've got IG-11, who Taika Waititi, one of my favorite people in the world, and just take it all in. I don't know. Enjoy yourself. I'm here and I'm enjoying myself. So I get really excited talking about this. And then we've got our Kuiil and Moff Gideon figures there right in the front. Now, a newer piece of my collection over the last couple of years has been the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. I do have a couple of the Legacy Zords back there, but primarily this is going to be Hasbro's take on Power Rangers, and I've kind of had to make some rules for myself. I basically am going to be doing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, maybe Power Rangers Turbo if we get some of those figures, and then In Space and Zeo. I'm trying to stick to those first 4 or 5 years for the most part, but I think this line's really cool. I mean, you can't beat the first couple of years of Power Rangers. So the sculpts look good, the costumes look good. These are $20 a pop, and I mean, that Rita and that Lord Zed they put out are fantastic. So I'm gonna keep, collecting this line and see how far I go until I go, what the hell am I doing? Because Power Rangers isn't my number one by any means. And then, of course, I just started collecting wrestling figures again. I've been an off and on wrestling figure collector my entire life. So I've had some, I've sold some, and now I'm back to picking up some wrestling figures. So a couple, what I'm doing is I'm sticking with the new releases. I can't go back and pay $50, $60, $70 for WWE Elites. But if I see cool figures in the store, I'm going to pick them up. All right, let's start talking about Masters of the Universe Classics, a line I never thought I was going to collect because these are expensive and they are getting more and more expensive, and I didn't collect them when they first came out, but 2020 was the year where I dove head first into Masters of the Universe, and more specifically MOTU Classics. Incredible line of figures, ran from 2010 all the way to basically 2020. At some point it switched from Mattel over to Super 7, and as you can see, there's hundreds of figures in this line. I pick up the ones I want. I pick up the ones I like. We got Man-at-Arms there. And then I was lucky enough somehow to get my hands on a Scareglow figure. And what can I say? You can't beat Scareglow. The design is incredible. That's one of the most expensive action figures I own. And I'm not going to lie, I got a really good deal. I don't think the guy necessarily knew what he had. I did pick up these William Stout Masters of the Universe, the movie concept figures. I mean, Skeletor, He-Man there. And it's just, that movie's kind of awful, but kind of amazing. And then look, Laughing Prince Adam. I mean, I can't believe that exists. The fact that it exists tells me I needed to have it. So I'm going to continue over time picking up more of these MOTU figures, but I did also get Castle Grayskull. This was the original Masters of the Universe Mattel Castle Grayskull from the Classics line. You know, it's expensive. Again, I'm not bragging about this, but this stuff is not easy to come by. I mean, it was available for so long and then it went down in price and now it's rare and hard to find. So, but you can't have a MOTU Classics line without Castle Grayskull. Really a great playset. As I said earlier in the video, I love play. Oh, look, Trapjaw. That's fun. He's just hanging out. And you got to have your flag at the top of Castle Grayskull. Let's take a look at the opposite side because the detail in the sculpt of this playset is really, really wonderful. I mean, I wasn't collecting this when it first came out. I mean, I remember when it first came out, it was a big deal, but just seeing this thing in person is like a whole nother level. And I love this Triclops figure, by the way, one of my favorite figures and just a really cool design. And I know a fan favorite as well. I'm not going to claim to be a diehard MOTU fan, but I like it enough to have Snake Mountain. Now, if you're going to have a classics collection and you're going to have Castle Grayskull, you kind of have to have Snake Mountain. And just like Castle Grayskull, incredibly detailed. I mean, this is where Skeletor does his bidding. This is where he is having all sorts of plans to take over Eternia and all the stuff he does. And can you see I'm a huge fan? And again, just like Castle Grayskull, unbelievable detail. Even the video doesn't quite do it justice, but I was happy to get this. It finally came in right around Christmas time. And for now, this will be the end of the MOTU Classics line. There is no news to report on whether or not this line is going to continue. But let's take a look at some more of the figures here on the opposite end. On the inside of Snake Mountain, we've got the Filmation style Ultimate He-Man and Skeletor there. We've got our trapdoor with net at the top here. That Hordak figure is real. That, I don't know if that's the first Hordak or the second one that came out. Somebody will correct me. That's fine. More Filmation style. Then we got the regular Beastman. We got Bo over there. And I think this piece is one of the best pieces of the entire thing, which is the kind of snake little statue there. Tila's hanging out back there. We got Wondor based on the Wonder Bread He-Man. And of course, Battle Cat, Mossman, and She-Ra. You got to have the Filmation style She-Ra. If you're going to have all this stuff, you got to have She-Ra. Come on. But let's take a look at Snake Mountain kind of from a high viewpoint here. This is wild. I feel so grateful to have this. There's no bragging here. I feel so much gratitude. Now, I did start collecting MOTU Origins as well. These are the new figures from Mattel. Bright, colorful, fun takes on the original Masters of the Universe vintage figures with more articulation. And if you don't have the vintage figures, I think this is a worthy substitute. All right, now, I don't have a lot of Marvel in my overall collection, but I do have a few MCU Hot Toys, including Hawkeye and Thor here from Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. Hot Toys are expensive. You can't always make room as far as space and money, but when you got a Black Widow figure that looks like this, and when you got Chris Evans in his portrayal of Captain America, I'm gonna get a few Hot Toys. That's just going to happen. Moving on, we've got our Kenner, Bill, and Ted figures, one of my all-time favorite lines. Not the biggest toy line of all time. There's only 9 or 10 figures total, but these have really gone up in value over the years and have become a little bit hard to find loose and complete. So love Bill and Ted, some of my favorite movies of all time, and really excited that I was able to complete that collection. Below that, more random stuff. Now we've got G.I. Joe Classifieds. G.I. Joe made a big comeback in 2020. These figures have been making people insane. They're driving collectors crazy. They're driving Target employees crazy. So I've got most of them so far. I mean, this royal blue variant of Cobra Commander just came in the other day. I do not have the new Cobra Island exclusive figures, the Viper and the Firefly. I haven't found those yet, but I'm on the hunt. You guys watch my videos. You know I'm hunting for them. Let's take a look at some more G.I. Joe here, some vintage Street Fighter II G.I. Joe figures in package. The Street Fighter II subset of G.I. Joe hits me in the nostalgia feels, or the heart nards, as Ryan Dole would say, my Toy Anxiety co-host. I love this Boba Fett. San Diego Comic-Con Kenner paint application Boba Fett in package. One of the coolest things I think I own. Boba Fett, another character that made a huge comeback in 2020. And then going back to the Black Series shelf real quick, at the top here, a couple of the Black Series helmets, Enfys Nest on her swoop bike, and just a random assortment of Star Wars stuff that didn't necessarily fit on the shelves. A couple vintage vehicles here. Ray's speeder bike's not vintage, but I just like it. But we do have a Millennium Falcon vintage there. And then we've got a Y-Wing fighter complete with missile and the box. So I don't always pick up vehicles because they do take up a lot of space, but get them when I can. Jumping back over to Masters real quick, I do have this jumbo collector's case that I just picked up. And let's finish this out with a couple Power Rangers Lightning Collection helmets there. This is the case that is under Snake Mountain. We got the Boba Fett prototype helmet. And these Super 7 retro style Japanese packaging Masters figures are just so cool. Let's finish it off with some Star Wars autographs. This is kind of the small corner of my room that I dedicate to just one of my other hobbies, one of my other passions, Star Wars autograph collecting. Obviously, we also have a couple Episode 1 pod racers there, but we got my Harrison Ford and Grief Karga autographs there, and then David Prowse on the wall, got that recently. And then these are some of my prized collectibles. I love Star Wars, and I love all of these characters so much. Natalie Portman, and then, of course, Carrie Fisher right there at the end. One of my favorite things I own. Well, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Again, this was awesome. And also, the toy collection is always in flux. Things come, things go. I'm always adding new treasures. So therefore, this will get rearranged and updated. I feel like I'm going to have to do a full tour once a year. Because let's face it, the way it looks today is not how it's going to look a year from now. Again, thank you guys so much for supporting Yes Have Some here on YouTube. I really hope that you enjoy what we're doing. We've got a big year ahead of us with Ghostbusters Afterlife and everything else going on. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you're setting those notifications to on so you get up-to-date information every time we put up a new video. And we appreciate it. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining my toy room. My name's Craig. This is Yes Have Some. Okay, bye.